Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for coming tonight. And actually, I was hoping maybe it'd rain and be a little colder. That'd bring some more people out. But now the sun's coming out. And that's why I asked Langdons if you guys walked down here or not tonight. I didn't know if you walked. So when you guys start walking everything, that's how I know we're warm again. So we're in good shape. So tonight, here's what we're going to do. And there's several of our local politicians here, town politicians. But the reality of it is we're all going to face the main issue coming up. And really, why I'm having this meeting, which I'll go over in a second, is because everyone's starting to hear about every other school around us, and I'm getting more and more questions on what does this mean to Sheridan. And frankly, I want to make sure you guys share whatever I can answer for you. I do want to at least introduce two people real quick. Mrs. Zachary and Mr. Hunt are on our school board, and we have several former school board members. But the purpose of tonight is we have to make a decision. And when I say we, me and the board have to make a very difficult decision here in about two months. Really, we're getting down to that. So please stop tonight. There is no bad. The only people that ever ask bad questions are seniors, and they do that intentionally. Everybody else, there are no bad questions. You can ask all you wish. Or if it's on anything, you guys know I would definitely won't keep secrets from you. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Doesn't mean you always like it, but I'll tell you everything you want to know when we do it. So why are we doing some of these things right now? Wait, let me go back one if I will. No, I'm sorry. I was right. We are actually succeeding as a district at a rate that we've never succeeded before. And I don't mean that as a knock to the past. It's really a change in what we're doing as a district. Our graduation rate is off the charts. I think we would have been 100% graduation last year, but we had a kid move in a couple weeks before that ended up going to the academy, if I'm correct, and still graduated. It's just they don't count them if you don't do it on that date. Otherwise, we were 100% the last 2 years on graduation rate. By the way, and I want to make sure I point out, that has a lot to do with our alternative school, which is down there by Twin Kiss. Almost said the liquor store. I'm not allowed to say it. Down there by Twin Kiss is where it is. If I said the liquor store, though, you all knew where it was, didn't you? And it is actually moving to campus. Mr. Airbrandt there and Mr. Hall helped us get that accomplished, and I can never be grateful enough. Why is that important to us? We have already, the alternative school, when I say that, and I always make sure I stress this, the alternative school is not for kids that just get in trouble. It is also, this day and age, our seniors want out. And I know when we were all seniors, we all wanted out too. It's just there wasn't an avenue for us to get out as fast. So Serena let me know we are already, for this year, we've already graduated 9 of our seniors for this year's class are already done with school because they've gone through the academy down there. It has been a lifesaver for us, and it has kept people in school. The other things that we're doing, we've been in the town, great accolades to them. The town's in the top 5, best places, or top 25. To me, they're top. I mean, they're number one. Top 25 places to work or live. We were back on the best places to work list. We're the only school in the county that is recognized as an early college, high school. That means we are intensely working on different ways, not just 4-year degrees. We are intentionally working on different ways for first-time generation college kids to go to school. Thanks to Mr. Davis's leadership, we're doing a whale of a job with it. And our internships are off the charts, etc. Athletic-wise, we did, just because it just happened too, it was cool. We won conference for the first time, and in an argument on how long it's been, but let's say at least 20 years. It's been since we won boys conference outright, and should have won sectional, but Lapel cheated. Wait, I'm getting filmed. No, they didn't, Daniel, I lied. Remove that. I got to remember getting filmed tonight. I can't say all the things I normally say. Actually, they didn't cheat. They just were very good. But we had a great season. And most importantly to me, because it's fun, we now have a high school bowling team. And frankly, the coach of that bowling team is the greatest guy you'll ever meet in your whole life. I have done a wonderful job coaching that team. So we now have a bowling team here in Sheridan, too, who, by the way, also made it to regionals as well. And we had a bowler that won sectional. So those of you that were here, we have rumor of bowling. It is true. Thank you very much. Why are we doing this tonight, though? Why are we going through this? You're all hearing the rumors, and nothing up there isn't anything that hasn't been in the news. Noblesville's making cuts. Southeastern's making cuts. Carmel announced yesterday, I think it was, they're $2 million short. Frankfort, around us, making cuts. Heights is watching their money. My good friend Dr. Irwood is too. So what does that mean to us? I mean, that's really what I'm getting more and more questions on. What does it mean to us and how it's going to affect us coming up? It is a situation that we're all in. And I'll be up front. I know I've said this several times. It's weird for me because, frankly, gang, I wish we were all at home right now watching Netflix or whatever games on TV or whatever it is, because we were blessed. We have worked very hard in this district. Introduced two people to wave in the back. Mrs. Popejoy there. Hi, Mrs. Popejoy. Who will not speak whatsoever publicly, but she likes it when I call her out. And Mr. Reuter back there are the two people that help run our finances. And because of their work, this district was actually sitting ready to be in great financial shape, actually beyond good financial shape. And what's frustrating is, and several of you have been on, Mr. Durr, you were on the board in the past, we had people that were here 10 to 12, 15 years ago. We were the poor, small country school. I mean, we were. We didn't have nearly the money that everybody else had. We always called ourselves the best hidden gem, or the best kept secret in Hamilton County, but we couldn't compete with the other schools. But because we've had a lot of continuity, because when I was here last time, or because I've been here 4 times, as we've come back around, we saw all this coming. We saw the fact that working with the town, the county, and everything else, our AV was going to start coming up. We have been planning, what's frustrating, for the last 10 years, we've been planning for these couple years coming up. Because now our AV, your farm ground's worth more, your houses are worth more, your ground's worth more. And as that's going up, what that means is that we can continue to drop your tax rate. We still get the same amount of money. And frankly, we now compete with the people around us, is what we do. We're not taking more. There's one thing I hope everybody hears out of this school district. We don't take more than we need. And I can tell you to the point that even last year, and tell me if I'm wrong, please, Ms. Popejoy, we budgeted almost to the point that we had about $80,000 left to finish the year last year, give or take. That's how close our budget runs. So when we do a huge budget, we plan years in advance to do everything we can, and it's working great. I always point out that in school finance, because I get this question, and it's good for everybody to hear it just so it can be repeated. These projects we're doing, the middle school and all the others, which, by the way, you're always welcome to take a tour and see the projects whenever you'd like, they have nothing to do with salaries. I believe, we're doing about $10 million worth of projects right now. And not one dime of that could go to, you don't think if I couldn't give $10 million to salaries right now, I'd have the greatest Christmas gifts ever from our faculty. But they don't have anything to do. One thing that's important to know in school finance, and the way I always explain it is, we have a line item that we build stuff with, and we have a line item that we pay bills with and salaries with. And unlike being at home with your checking and savings account, if one's short, what do? You just move it over and you switch it and you make sure everything's paid. We can't do that. And these projects you see, remember I said we've been planning for a long time? Our field house, these other projects are a byproduct of the sheer fact that our property values are going up, and because of that, we can drop our tax rate but still have money in the operations amount to do projects. That's really what it comes from. It allows us to bond and do projects. So please, please know the projects have nothing to do with salaries when we talk through all of this, because if we could, I promise you, in this community especially, we would give that to salaries. We cannot. And that'll happen. It always comes up all the times. I mentioned, this is a change. Some of you that have been around for a long time, some of you that went to school here, some of you that worked here in the past, know the fact that for years, we couldn't compete with the other schools in this county. And I'm talking in terms of hiring, salaries, benefits, etc. We were basically a hiring group. When I first was principal here of the, and by the way, I didn't introduce myself, but on a nice point, I know everybody in this room, so I hope nobody was offended by that. We would sit here, you would come here, we'd hire a teacher for a year or two, they'd last a year or two, and then Carmel, Southeastern, somebody would steal them, and they'd leave. Mr. Durr, I can't imagine as board president how many people you hired on a regular basis. And what we were blessed on, we had the Judy Langdons of the world that sat and taught their whole careers here or stayed with us for a long time. That's what made us a good school. But the reality is, competitive-wise, and I love you to death, Judy, but the reality of it is we probably never paid you to what you could have been paid if you went to a Noblesville or a bigger school. We're doing that now. We are competing. We're not better. We're not paying more than the other schools, but we're competing for and am I wrong, Judy? We're competing now for the first time, and we made a living off of people staying here. We have people that want to be here. The change is, and I think this is important for people to know where we've gotten ourselves. There's not a chance in the world I could have recruited two of my great cabinet members back there, Lacey and Val, are huge to us, our special ed director and curriculum director. 7, 8 years ago, there's not a chance I would be able to recruit anybody from other schools around here. We couldn't, because we couldn't pay them. I mean, we wouldn't, and they'd stay with us and they'd go. We have more and more teachers, and we toured another one today from Noblesville that's probably looking to come here and everything else. So you should be proud as a community. We now are the exact opposite of what we were, and that's not a bad thing, but that's the natural fallout of the way school finance works, the sheer fact that we should be able to start hiring and going with all these people. So where I go into the second part of the story, any questions up to that point? Because please, the hard part is, then all of a sudden last year, they passed Senate Bill 1. And Senate Bill 1 has changed every bit of our finances. It's changed you guys at the county. It's changed your finances. It's changed you at the town. It has changed all of our finances. And Senate Bill 1, if you're not sure, and why you keep hearing all of this, Senate Bill 1 is property tax reform. I mean, that's what it is. And I want to be clear. It's not against what's happening to schools and towns and the counties is not against property tax reform. That's not it. Because frankly, I do believe, and I'll speak for Dave Mundy myself, I do believe that senior citizens, veterans, farmers need more of a tax break on what I do. But we came across and we uniformly put a tax system in that is now reaping some real havoc on us and all the government entities. And what it does for us is we don't have any other way of recollecting money. In other words, I can't all of a sudden just raise everybody's tax rate because we're only allowed to raise so much. Or I can't create a new tax. Not to put our town or county on the spot, but you have options of like a wheel tax or an income tax or other things. We don't. We have the money we get from the state, which I'll talk about in a second, and we have a referendum. That's our money. I mean, that's what we get, basically. We do grants and other stuff, but basically, is it fair to say, Mike and Robin, we get referendum, and we get our money given to us from the state. I will tell you this. I've already talked through all the cuts and everything else, too, but this isn't just central Indiana. I've been in tons of meetings. This is every school in the entire state. And so it is weird, or I don't know if that's the right word, seeing all the schools come together because every one of us is in this exact same situation right now. I also need to point out, too, in terms of cuts, like we have some great local politicians. So please know this is not a knock on individuals. To me, this is a point out to what's happened, too. We're going to take a huge loss, which I'll show you in Senate Bill 1. But to be clear, we run that alternative school. And I already mentioned, if I don't have the county help us start it, I don't have it. Or if you didn't see in the newspaper, thanks to Bex Reynolds, Lilly Foundation, Dreyer's, some of our great people here in town, they donated up to $900,000 to allow us to keep that alternative school going. And that alternative school has changed our way we do business. So that alternative school is alive because of outside donations, because the state, which we started with, it used to be half county money, if you will, half state money. The state cut all alternative school funding. In fact, I'll tell you, I got a check last year from the state for $168 to run our entire alternative school down there. We kept it. Did we cash it, Robin? We cashed it. I wanted to keep it. I thought that'd be cool. But we got $168 to do that. Summer school money. You know why summer school money is now going away? Textbook fees, which, by the way, I do want to point this out. I am happy that we don't charge people textbooks. Our parents in the room, there's nothing worse than sending you guys those bills every year and trying to collect everybody. And there's nothing worse, too, when you got a high school kid and we send you a textbook bill for $600 and that's great. We hate that, by the way. But the reality is when the state took over textbooks, they started giving us money. And the amount of money they started giving us, has it been 5 years now? 6 years? Okay, 3 years, 4 years now. The amount of money we get is the exact same money we got 4 or 5 years ago. So in other words, to us to just keep up on buying textbooks, and that's technology too, by the way. So some people will be like, well, don't buy the book, just put it online. Well, we still have to pay for our subscriptions. We still have to pay for all that. I believe last year, and please tell me if I'm wrong, team, we were $300,000 in the hole on our textbooks and technology stuff, and that's buying the basics that we need. Put that in perspective. If you're in Carmel, you're right, and you hear numbers like 300,000, okay. $250,000 gives our whole faculty a 2% raise, gang. So $300,000 lost on just textbooks. Please see what that impacts us and how that is. And that is in the line item I talk about with salaries and benefits and stuff like that too. And where's it all going? I don't think most people, I'll go back to that real quick. Actually, I'll come back to that topic. I do want you to know the fact that we are not just sitting around doing nothing. It'll never be expressed enough that we are fortunate to have a county and a town, in the town lately, and two people back there, Mike and Robin, that I will put us up against anybody at projecting what's coming ahead. And frankly, we've had a school board that's fantastic at looking at what's coming up, not just 1 month in advance, looking at what's coming up 2-3 years in advance. So we saw some of this coming. Actually, when Mr. Reuter met with us 2 years ago and said, hey, they're going to do something with property tax, we started making plans. So I don't want everybody to think that we are not a district that's sitting around going, woe is me. We're not. Actually, we've been more aggressive the last couple of years. We have sponsorships. You see the names. We've been blessed. They're everywhere. That brings us $175,000 a year. We apply for every grant we can get our hand on. And I don't know, guess on a total we got in grants last year, Robin? Any idea if you wanted to, well over $500,000? I mean, well over $500,000 in grants that we write. So we try every grant we can. We refinanced debt lately. That got us enough, and that seems simple, but that refinanced debt's going to allow us to purchase a new boiler that we needed because that boiler's been sitting around for about 30 years and needed replaced. So we refinanced to do that. We've done a needs assessment. All of these projects were done, thanks to the guidance of the board, these projects were done to utilize space that was being wasted. So basically, how are we planning for the future? We've maximized every inch of this building that we can to prepare for students and classes down the road. And then a couple others too. I do want to say, and this is the one point, because I'm going to get this question. We're not cutting staff. That's not what we're doing right now, because that's not the Sheridan way. If we would get some more down the road, I may have to, but I did meet with the faculty last Wednesday, and we are not at this point. How we are, though, we have made a goal internally and at the central office level. We are trying to make sure we save, at least in terms of replacing people and not replacing some positions and merging some jobs. Our goal is to save $250,000. Why? Because that's a 2% raise for our faculty next year, that if we can find those and not affect hiring or firing people, that's what we're trying to do. So please know we're being very aggressive in that as well. So here's why the next part of the question, and this is the rough part, and this is, gang, I will tell you, I will try to make the next couple slides as exciting as possible, but there's only so many ways you can show financial graphs and make them exciting. So I don't even have a stupid joke I can tell you for the next couple slides, but I will try my best. We have to decide. We just passed a referendum in this district in 2023. And frankly, we passed it at 82%. And the last two referendums we passed, and this community should be very proud. You know how many times I say it when you guys hear me speak at other things. We've been one of the highest passing rates the last two times in the entire state. And frankly, if you don't go back to us getting punched in the face by Senate Bill 1, we were in great shape, like I said. But now, because of the way Senate Bill comes into play, our board has been put into an awkward spot. As if we don't, and I'll show you here in a second, if we don't do something, doing nothing's not an option, if that makes sense. So, and what did I say? I can't control where our money comes from because we don't even get all our tax dollars now, but the only thing we can control is a referendum. And that's put our board in a very awkward spot, hence the meeting tonight. To be very clear, we have not passed anything. So that's why tonight's really called a state of finance and everything else. The board has not passed anything or made everything you're going to see here in a minute are facts, thanks to Robin and Mike, But nothing is this passed or set in stone. Hence, I'm using my old teacher skills. Hence, in a minute, we're going to love your opinion on some of these things that we're doing. So it allows you time to gather questions in your head. I'll go back to, we have to consider, because if we do nothing, we have budgeted out and looked at our where we're at in budget for the next 5 years. And if we do nothing and just take the money we get from the state and stick with the referendum we have now, the hardest part to sit and tell our faculty is that's $400,000 new dollars we get basically. Again, there's a lot of funds that come, but basically we gain about $400,000 over the next 4 years. That doesn't include increase in electrical bills. That doesn't increase a rate in area. That is, and that, as you can see, that's not possible. Or if it is possible, it basically goes back to, again, Mr. Not to put you on the spot, but the days you remember when we'd negotiate and basically give raises of $30 to our teachers total, in some years. I mean, wasn't that bad, but you know what I mean when we got there. We can't live off of just $400,000 the next couple of years without making dramatic cuts. And gang, we don't have extra people anywhere. I mean, so that's the hard part too. Every person that we have on this staff is valuable to what we do. Why the referendum? That ties into, and Miss Nancy, or Miss Boone's here. Sorry, I'm used to calling you Miss Nancy. Miss Boone, school board member who also came, asked me this all the time to remind everybody. Again, we didn't come up with the referendum system. It's not, I talked today, this will be my 8th referendum I've had to run. And I know, and when we even started talking about this, the first thing I remember telling the board, already my belly's churning, and because it's hard to go out and tell the community, hey, thanks, you just passed a referendum 3 years ago. We need you to do it again. Or what I'm going to show you here in a minute, it's going to be real hard for me to tell the community, hey, we're going to raise your taxes, but you're going to pay less, and explain that to everybody here in a second. But if we don't, I go back, remember the referendum system was put in 15-ish years ago. Mitch Daniels put it in when the fact that they got tired of local school board, and were you on the board then, Mark? Okay. When they decided no longer that school boards could run their own finances, so instead they started taking all the money downtown. And if you don't know, and most people don't know this, your taxes, your Sheridan taxes, basically get sent, not to us. They go downtown, they get put in a magical formula, then we get money back per kid. We live in Hamilton County. We are what's called a donor county. In other words, we put all 100% of your taxes, they all go downtown, and we only get back about 80% of those. Hence, if we got 100%, we wouldn't need a referendum that we do. So when they started that system, the idea was, great, for those of you that are donator counties, Boone, Hamilton, some of the others that are around the donut area, you make up your money by having your community pass a referendum. If you remember far enough back for us, our first referendum was basically to stay alive, and that's a true statement. I mean, it was basically either pass a referendum or get merged in with Westfield and everybody else. We're way past that, but that was like our first one we did. So that's why we even have referendums. Referendum dollars, that is the only fund in terms of salary funds that comes straight to us, 100% straight to us. So please know when we ask for that amount, that does come to us. That doesn't go in that magical formula. And what's happened too, why are we getting less and less each year? Again, remember the number of charter schools and private schools and the more money they get is skyrocketing. That is part of your tax dollars that go to help offset the cost of all those schools that are being built everywhere and going everywhere. That is the system. That is not what we put into play. But so please know when the board makes these difficult decisions, we are trying to also make up for the sheer fact that not all of your tax dollars come to us when it comes to that. Does that make sense to everybody on why so that's how that whole system started. So I always point out it's the only fund that comes straight to us, and we get all of it when it comes to it in terms of salary lines. So what I'm going to show you here, 2-3 charts, is referendum fund only. Here's what I can't control for you. I can't control, and this is a good, bad thing depending upon your point of view. I can't control that all of your assessed value or the worth of your house and property is going up. Frankly, gang, that's a good thing. Now, if you're not looking to sell for a while and you're paying those bills, I get that. I do, and I totally understand every bit of that. But you're also looking, most of us are sitting around, and at some point that's got to start going down. But right now, our farm ground's a hotbed. And those of you that have farm ground know full well the value of how that's increased the last several years. I can't control that. I have nothing to do with that. But all I control is the fact of our referendum fund. So in our referendum fund, and again, Mr. Reuter and Robin, if I say anything wrong here, please let me know. Here's how we project that over the next couple years, if you will. In our referendum fund, we basically were set to get for this year $1,640,000. Because, and here's the way these new taxes work for everybody. It's the first year, starting in 26, every year you're getting more taking off your house till we get to the year 2031. And in 2031, everything levels off. So it's not all at once, it's casually each year. Well, if we kept our amount, and then the amount goes down, and that means we're getting littler amounts each year. So what happens of the referendum fund, we are looking at a total difference of loss to us if we just expect just a 4% growth in AV for your houses and farm ground. We're losing out on about $527,000. I use that number, and Mr. Reuter helped us put that number together. I want you to see, we're not trying to get back $3 billion, you know what I mean? That's not what we're trying to do here. We're technically trying to recoup the same money we passed in 23 and trying to recoup about $527,000. I mean, Mike, do you have anything to add to that, sir? Because this is your, okay. So it's important for everybody to see, when these numbers you're going to see, this isn't for us to make $4 million. This is for us, our way to get back the $527,000 that we're losing so that we can continue to give raises over the next couple of years. And gang, that's directly what it's for. Raises and programs and technology and help cover the cost of the textbooks. We will still be losing. I mean, we're not going bankrupt, so I don't want to make it say, but we will still be losing more than we're gaining back on this system when it comes to it. But it's the fairest way to do it to our taxpayers and everything else. So here's a couple charts that let you know how this works. This is right now. If nothing changed, and these are real numbers, gang. These aren't made up. These aren't hypothetical. These are exactly real numbers. If we did nothing this year, and the mean house, by the way, that is the mean house average in our school district area, $244,000. If we do nothing, thanks to the 25 cent, which, by the way, our referendum rate right now is 25 cents, you would be paying on your house, you would get a deduction. Remember, right now, everybody gets the same deductions across the board. And if your house went up, it changes a little bit. But right now, we all get the same deduction. But you would be paying in 26, $307 towards the referendum. In 29, $342. In 2031, $368. That's how much you pay. That referendum amount, that 25 cents on $100, that's how much you pay. And that's a real number. That's not made up. That's how much goes straight to the school for referendum amounts. The way it has changed, and this is where the next two slides, it used to be this. We spend hours, days, months. The school board gets to hear this 18 times in a year almost. But right now it's 25 cents. We project. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean to us? All the way out to 2030, 2031, 2032. So please know that's important. But when we set the referendum rate, when we passed it last time, and when we passed it the times prior, we knew that information. But that's because these deductions on your houses were consistent. In other words, you all got the same deduction, so we could set an amount and know exactly what that was going to mean to us based on like a 4% increase each year. The way, and some of you that know referendums more than others, the way it is changing, we now have to look differently. We can't do a set amount because here's what's happening to your house. Right now, you're going to get in 26, you're going to get 40% supplemental deduction, and then a 57%, and then a 66% taken off your house. All of you are getting these. I mean, this is what's coming. This is part of the bill. And by the way, I shouldn't say that's each year. That's spread out if you didn't catch the years at the top. So for us to take one consistent amount is next to impossible for us to do the math on that. It is, I mean, because we can't. I can't predict AV growth and deductions and everything else. And Mike and Robin, I will say, and they hear me, are the best two in the state for doing it. But they can't predict that either. So we have to change our philosophy. The board can't just now say we're doing 25 cents and taking all 25 cents and that's the way we're doing it. The way we have to do it now is the board has to find that number. And I am using 40 cents tonight, 40 cents on 100. That is the number we've been using. To be very clear, one more time, that has not been approved by the board. That is simply a number that gives us a guide. There are many, many other schools that will do more than that, but we think that's a fair number to at least look at. However, here's what I just said earlier. If we go to 40 cents, and if we took the entire amount, if I took all 40 cents and put it in our money, you actually, for 2029, compared to where it would have been here, if we took the whole 40 cents, it is only an increase of $19 on your house if you're in a medium home. So in other words, I'm sitting here telling you, if I jumped your tax rate up 15 cents on $100, it is costing you a total of $19 in 2029. And with the way things are going, and because your house keeps getting more deductions, if I took the whole 40 cents, you are basically only getting an increase of $9 in 2031. So you see how weird that is for me to sit here and say we're going to increase tax rate 15 cents potentially, which we're not, please take that. But I'm saying if we did do that, and you're going to end up paying only $9, here's the philosophy that we're talking about. And this is what I need to make sure makes sense and make sure that when we get this out and go. The reality of it is the best way for us to do this would be to set a rate. Again, we're going to say 40 cents on the referendum. Run for 40 cents, but then never take that amount. In other words, each year we would take a certain amount, say an increase of 3 to 4%. I think we ran this off of 3%, a 3% increase of what we would need each year. And then basically that would help us cover that shortfall we need to do salaries. Here's what's, if we did that, and by the way, we can promise that. I hope this community, and I think they do, a lot of you have, I believe I've earned the trust of most people, but the reality of it is if you don't, the school board gets to choose how much each year it goes up. So to put not only me sitting telling you we're only going to take 3%, the board is allowed to pass a resolution. Thank you. Too many R words in my head, ma'am. Thank you. A resolution that basically says we're only taking 3% this year. So it can be in writing, so those people that don't think that we'll just do it. But here's what's interesting. If you're in a $244,000 home with all the deductions, in 2029, if we only did a 3% increase, you're actually paying $24 less than you would have been paying if we did it the way we're doing it right now. So by increasing your rate at a 3% rate, you're paying less. If we kept doing that same model, a 3% increase all the way to 2031, you're actually paying, unless they change laws and everything else. And remember, on the referendum rate, not on other stuff. I can't control if your house keeps going up. But on referendum rate, you're actually paying less. So do you see where this gets really weird for the board? We have to make up $527,000. And actually, that's what it looks like in a bar graph, for those of you who'd rather have a line graph. We need to make up $527,000. By doing that in incremental ways and going for the referendum again, which is hard to ask a community to do. But gang, right now, our advisor that works with us on referendums, in the donut area alone, just the area around Indianapolis, there are 52 schools contemplating whether or not to do a referendum. I don't know. My best guess on the most have ever done one at one time, maybe 20, maybe. So, and there's 52 in just the donut area looking to run one next year because we're all in the same boat. To see the lines, just so you know what they mean, this is where we would have been if we changed nothing. That's where it is if we took off 40 cents, which no intentions of doing. It just protects us, and this is where it is. Why do we need to protect ourselves? I should throw this out. Then I'm going to show you farmland. Then I'll open it up for any questions that you have. This is a Dave Mundy comment. I don't want to be political on this, and I'm not speaking for the board, but I've been blessed to work with some of the people in this room and done this long enough, and realistically, I've been very fortunate in my now 30 years of education. 20 have been in some sort of admin role or central office role. We were promised, if you live in Hamilton County, what was the thing that was promised in the last session? Significant tax cuts. When you get your tax bill this year, and because you live in Hamilton County, and there's a good chance your significant tax cut is going to be about, I'm making up the number, but you'll get my point. It's going to be about $40. Does that fall in the term significant for anybody? So what do you think is going to be the number one topic at the next session when they come back into session next year? Is how does it make it significant for those of us living in growing areas like Hamilton, Boone, and down by Avon and all them on the south side too. And Mark, not to put you in the spot, but aren't I mean, that's what you guys are looking at too, and Dave, that's what you guys are looking at. We don't know. So we have to choose a number that basically protects us from what the new term significant might be. They might do nothing. I don't know. But I guarantee when you see your bill, you're not going to see significant. And I think that word means different stuff to everybody. That's our fear. And that is not that's the truth. I do want to show farm ground real quick. So farm ground, I base it on 100 acres. And right now, the mean of a farm ground, and by the way, it's all over the place, but say 2,280 is what we used for farm ground. If you do it by 100 acres, over that 100 acres, that's how much you pay us right now on your farm ground for the referendum fund. In 2029, and obviously you know where we're going here, it would be that and then that. It actually goes up some, but not a significant amount. Farm ground, how does it affect that? If we took the entire 40 cents per 100 acres, entire 40 cents, it goes up a total by 2029 of $12 for the 100 acres. $12 total for all those 100 acres. And in 2031, it goes up $40, $39 over that time too. But that's if we took it all. If we do the incremental amount that we're talking about, farm ground does what I think should be occurring. There will be a deduction on farm ground, and it will drop, and we'll still be able to recoup back that $527,000 by gradually increasing your tax rate. Does that make sense to everybody? Because frankly, it's hard for me to do this speech today. I've been doing school finance with those two for 20 years, and it still changes for me every day. I mean, school finance is the most difficult thing in the world. It's also the weirdest thing too, because everybody always says, hey, you're hiding money. And we're always like, you can come in tomorrow if you want to see it, because we have to show you whatever you want to see. If we are hiding money, you're doing a great job, Robin, because I don't know where it's at. That got weird. You're not on the spot. You're not hiding. She's not. Please know that. She's not. But it is a situation we put it out there. So when you see there's the line graphs for it, just to kind of put it in perspective so you can see what we're talking about here. So here's where we're in a rock and a hard space. And this is where we definitely want your thoughts. I mean, we do, or questions or whatever it might be. Our school board has to start the process, because you have to now, with all the changes they've made in referendums, we have to do it on a main election year, so 26 or 28 or whatever. Gang, by 28, and this is the hard part, if we waited, remember I said we're only getting $400,000 over 4 years? Well, that's only like $100,000 going to next year, and besides we have to figure out a way to cover our increase of just natural living. So waiting until 28 gets hard. It's an option. It is an option. But if we start to run the referendum in 26, we have to make a decision. The board has to start voting on May 11th. And the process starts here in like 2 months. Because what's happened here is, because now that we're all getting, even though we've projected, we couldn't do the actual, we actually had to wait till this session was over to make sure they didn't make any adjustments this session. So as soon as it ended, we started moving. And then we would have to run it in November of next year. But the school board, though, can't wait till October. We have to make a decision by May if we're going to start this process. Now, May does not mean 100%. May means we start doing the fact-finding and stuff, which is a lot of technical stuff for us to do. And then the final decision would have to be May. I think it's June, if I remember. Yes. So they have to start the process in May, and they have to make a decision by June. So hence, we're here tonight. Come full circle, we're here for any thoughts, opinions you guys have, because we have, and I hope everybody knows that, if any community in terms of school, we are more responsive to we aren't the school we are without the community we have. You've heard me say 1 billion times, no one gets, we just met with the teacher today and come in here, she wants a job here because she has heard about the support they get from this community. Because of that, I owe it to this community and I owe it to the school board to make sure I am always sharing as much honest and upfront information as I can. This is a tough spot. If we wouldn't have just passed in 2 years, it'd be easy. We'd be going like, let's do this. But it's hard. It's going to have to go back out and explain all this. And the other thing, too, for us, I can't really explain. I can have meetings like this. But last year, just put it in perspective, John, you went with me to most of them. We did 70 to 80 different meetings last year with different groups. We did that over the course of a year last year. This year, we'll be doing that in the course of June till October is what we'll be doing. So I have no social life now, and it'll be way worse from like June to October. Fortunately, I have Megan that kind of likes me, so she'll understand, I think. School board, if I may ask any questions or thoughts from you guys, because I know you're it's to you first, please.
Could you expound on if we do wait and the impact of possible charter
Yes, thank you. Oh, thank you. Great point. So one of the new laws that passed too is if you don't any referendum that passes after 2026, you have to share part of your money with any charter school that would come to town. We don't have one right now, but I don't want to give ideas, but there are locations here in town where a charter school could go in. There are. And you remember how I talked about that's the only fund that comes directly to us? If we don't run in 26, or we don't pass in 26, and then someone does want to start a charter school, and by the way, gang, there are great charter schools too. But the reality of it is that 100% that we get is no longer 100%. If a charter school would come in 2027 and we don't pass or run one, that charter school takes part of that money. And then you see what that happens to us. That is one of the new laws that was passed this year or last session, one or the other. But yeah, we would have, that's another, thank you, because that's a big point that's coming. Other thoughts from the board at all, or questions, things I missed? They've already got to hear this speech like 18 times already, so they're being very patient with me. Thoughts from you guys, if I may, please. Tell me what you think. Your parents that go here. I want to say this too, because there's a couple here. I will get this question at some point. Well, you can solve that money if you just go ahead and don't have transfer students here. I'll answer it this way. I did the financial breakdown and showed the board of what transfer students. First of all, we have about 180 transfer kids, and that has positively impacted our culture, and they come here for 3 reasons. I tell everybody that. They come here because our academics are awesome. They're in smaller class sizes. They get to come here, and they get to participate in about everything that they want to participate in. Our special ed programs right now, I'll put our special ed program up against second to none in anywhere we can. And so we are getting a lot more students to come because our class sizes in special ed are much smaller. I mean, and so we're getting a lot of transfers to that. And we are, and I don't hide it anymore, we're getting more and more athletic transfers coming. The transfer kids, though, last year, when you put together, we did the math, and this is where it's really important at the elementary. Val, Mrs. Roberts' grades, they're growing. They are. But however, transfer kids and move-ins and growth rate at the elementary is good. The reason being is when you come in the elementary, you don't leave. I mean, you stay with us the whole time through. So those are numbers we can count on, we can bank on. If we took all our transfer kids away, because you got to remember, it's not 180 kids in one grade. If we took all our transfer kids away, do you know how many teachers we'd reduce across the district? Like 3 is all we would reduce. The amount of money that the transfer kids bring us is like right around $1.5 million. So we would lose 3 teachers that maybe, let's say they're top of the scale and we get all the benefits and everything else, maybe $400,000 at the positive, because I get that a lot. Well, if you don't have transfer kids, you don't have that financial strain. Actually, it's the opposite for this district. If we don't have transfer kids, that is 1.1 million-ish that we're short on stuff coming up too. So 1, they're important to our culture. 2, they've been awesome having here. And 3, it is not a financial burden on this district. It is not when it comes to it. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Are we projecting housing and commercial growth?
So we're watching, so we're working with the town. They've been great to help us know. I don't know. I know there's housing coming. And the hard part, I'm going to speak from the school's point of view. Yes, we need to watch it. But before Senate Bill 1, I went to the town council and I blatantly told them, I don't care if you have houses or not. We don't care. It makes no difference to us. Senate Bill 1 happened and we got punched in the face. I need houses and we need houses. And that's what has changed dramatically for us, sir, is now it's high, and then it's hard for me to look at Dave and Daniel and everybody else and simply say, and be like, hey, you remember like 2 years ago when I said we don't need houses, take your time? I lied, and now I need as many houses as you can build. So we do need them. District-wide, by the way, I should have said this because I get this all the time. When we did the facility study, please help me if I'm going to. We did the facility study 3 years ago now? Was it 3 years ago? We can hold, especially now with the new rooms we're building. Now, mind you, it's not evenly across the district, but we can hold up to 300 new kids right now and still keep our class sizes at an average of 25. So please know that we're not out of space. The difference has been, remember, we have special programs. We have a daycare. We have a preschool. We can move those around. Mr. Davis's high school and Mr. Mayor back there, we have 360 kids in the high school, and probably during the course of the day, 100 of them go out to jobs, and not quite 100, but somewhere in that ballpark. give or take? Is that a fair number to say? I don't want to be wrong.
Well, not all the jobs with your TPI programs and other things, you probably have about 60 go out.
Okay, because if you come to our high school some days, and if you've never been here, some days you're like, this place is empty. It's because we have people going in and out, and if you ever watched our front door during the day, they go in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out all day. We have added 3 rooms to the middle school. We have plenty of space at the middle school. So we are not hurting on space. So yes, sir, that is a long answer, and what we've been planning for, we need those houses now is what we need. And mainly because if you see those things going down, I'm only recouping $200 a home, and to try to make up for that amount, yes, sir, we need them.
A follow-up question to that then.
And if you, yeah, I want to make sure I repeat your question. I didn't do that last time too.
With the, let's just say that we can add 1,000 houses.
Yes.
How does that impact our plan for expansion in 10 years?
Okay, great question. So he asked, well, let's say the county approves 1,000 homes over the next couple. How it expands our thing is right now, I'm going to answer that 2 ways, Andy, if you don't mind. The one is, are we already planning for 2032? Frankly, I've told you before, we had a full plan ready to go for 2031, 2032, and it was beautiful. And then this happened. And now after this, what we've had to pause a little bit is our planning. Is I truly believe, and I do not make that decision. There are people in this room that makes this decision. This is how this plays into your answer. The way Sheridan wanted to grow when the merger happened and all that too is we want houses. No one has ever said we don't. And we have things that we want to do. But the northern part of this county, for the most part, is going to stay farm ground. So that is the reason that's important to me. That's location for me of where a building goes. And the other thing we're watching too, to be frank, is Boone County out on the west with all the growth out there and stuff coming too. If we had to build right now today, we can take that farm field out back and I can duplicate the elementary. And now this is not a plan, and it's being video, so normally I tell you guys don't go post this online, but now anybody can. Our game plan right now, we have enough space to basically build, and we would basically do some sort of fashion of like one wing would be a pre-K, K, 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5 over there, middle school, high school. So we're okay with that. However, because we have done a very good job of not planning, but not building till we know we need, I can't tell you when that might start. We do know this. This construction you're seeing, the major construction, that is the last construction we will do because we can't, because of new laws, we can't do major construction without another referendum, and we're not doing that for construction. Well, I shouldn't say not. The board hasn't told me we're doing that for construction. So we wouldn't even begin planning our next building or something until 2031 at best. And it couldn't build till 2032, correct, if we had to do that. So that's where we're at, sir. So there's a billion plans. You know full well, as I said earlier, I have no social life, so I draw this stuff and send it to them all the time. But our game plan would be similar to what we've talked about in the past. I just can't promise exactly what it would look like. Because the reality of it is, unless all of a sudden the Boone County area also gets 1,000 homes out that way, out by Mr. Davis and everybody, that might change the location of where we need a school, but frankly, most of where the growth is coming won't change where we need it in the next 10 to 15 years. Does that help, sir? Yes, sir. Other questions or just thoughts? First of all, this is the first meeting I've ever been in with Ron Stone where he wasn't the first one to ask a question. So I hope I either did that good or I made Ron mad. I'm not sure. It wasn't the latter, was it, sir? Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to make sure. So let me throw this out as a thought. If the board had to make, this is what they need to hear. What do you think about what we have to do? Because I'm going to tell you, if we run it at 40 cents, I believe that'll be one of the lower ones that people run, but we don't want to push it. And especially those that have kids or taxpayers or people that live here. What's your thoughts? Please share with the board because I think you see the dilemma they're in. And that's really why we're having that. Yes, sir.
I got 4 kiddos. I'm all for it.
Yeah. And
Moot. It's a nominal amount of money to keep our school system going in the right direction.
And we are, and it's because we have people like you. It's because we have other great families that are here that we are going. It's not just our teachers are incredible, our families are incredible, and it's good to hear you say that, sir, because, I mean, that's not speaking for them. That's where I stand, because I don't want to go back to the days where we were having people here for 2 years and gone, and 2 years and gone, and 2 years and gone. Thank you for that. Ms. Nancy, do you have a thought, or do you?
We just worked very hard to get where we are.
Yes.
If I can add to Aaron's, I know most of your board either professionally or personally. I think they are all fiscally responsible people. I think that we have a fantastic community. I think that we have fantastic school leadership, school board, school teachers.
Thank you.
I'm the son of an educator. It's a meaning that Senate Bill 1 is an atrocity of a bill. It doesn't serve any purpose other than saying we did something that we said we might do.
That's and it's not. I think it's fair when you say that. That's just not hitting us. That's hitting many of the entities sitting here tonight. And this is our only way of protecting ourselves. So thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. Anybody else? Or you're welcome to send me an email later and be like, you messed this up. And I'm like, all right, yeah. Yes, sir, please.
If I can real quick. So the referendum that we ran.
Can you guys hear in the back? All right. Okay, I just want to make sure. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The referendum we ran 2 years ago, I believe we had maybe the record passing rate.
We did. Yes. Right at it. Actually, somebody beat us like the next year. So, but let's not pretend they did it. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
So the point that I want to make, though, is it does not go unnoticed by this board the tremendous support that our community gives this institution. Okay. So it's very important to me as a lifelong Blackhawk that, yeah, we absolutely are going to take care and be good stewards of the community's resources. Okay. We understand that this exists because of our community.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that support that is tremendous and overwhelming and definitely not taken for granted.
Thank you, sir.
David add something too. When we talk about the potential 40 cents, we only did that to protect the community because we just ran a referendum and then everything changed. And so we thought, well, we need to have some sort of a buffer if the laws change again so that we can protect
Yes.
the students and make sure that they get the education they need. But we do not intend to take that money. It is kind of a buffer.
That's a great point, ma'am, because that conversation went on for a long time, and Mike and Robin helped us with that. Our fear is, let's say we only run at 33 cents. I made up a number, but say you run at 33 cents, and remember that term significant, and something happens there. I don't want to be sitting here in 2 years having to say, I like seeing you all. I'd rather see you outside at a track meet or softball or something. Not, I appreciate you being here, by the way, but you see what we're saying, and that's a great point, ma'am. If we don't do a 40 cent and protect ourselves and hope, and things, and by the way, in 31, unless things change, and Mike, if I say this right, in 31, when everything levels off, and then if AV is still growing and everything else, we actually kind of get right back to where we were right now. I mean, am I correct in saying that, sir?
That's right. We'll be back to a similar pattern that we did prior to Senate Bill 1. I think it's also important to note we're trying to estimate an 8-year period. So a referendum rate is good for 8 years, and so the 40 cents is to take care of that 8-year period. So it's
But I will say,
down to a lot of variables involved.
but trying to do those variables, and I think everybody in this room gets that, between your two help and the board and everything, we've been pretty spot on for every year that we've ever had a referendum. I mean, we haven't missed by much. So our guesstimation has been pretty darn good. And I think we all feel pretty comfortable with this. Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. Hi, Erin.
I think the reality, of the situation is if we don't run another referendum, two things happen. We lose over $500,000 to this school corporation. And the other thing is, if we don't run at a 40-cent rate, then we will have to set aside dollars that will go towards a potential charter school.
Yes.
I think two factors come into play when we think about the protection of this community, the students in it, and how we're going to move forward. Also providing for our teachers, right? And
Yes, ma'am.
Providing quality education to the students that are here and the students that are yet to come, right? So we'll lose $500,000 from Senate Bill 1 if we don't decide to run a referendum in November or for November, right?
Yes, that's absolutely. And that's just the referendum fee. I mean, we don't, but yes, it's referendum. You're correct.
Right, but then if we choose to go on forward and we need a higher rate, we didn't go with 40 cents, right? Then anything would go towards, a portion of that would go towards shorter.
Yes, that's exactly.
One right now, but who knows?
But I can say, and Aaron, that's awesome answer. Thank you. But in terms of, you're right, we don't have one here, but I can tell you 3 locations right now that if somebody wanted to put one would be a perfect place to put one. And to say that won't occur down the road because of the amount of money you can get to start it, that'd be naive for us to say it's never going to happen in Sheridan. I mean, so yes, you're absolutely correct. Great answer. Yes, sir, Mr. Durr.
I want to make sure I'm clear. Your 40%, your 40-cent rate max would be what you would ask for in a whole new referendum, or it is already baked into what is in the current referendum? You're just not there.
No, I forgot to say that. Thank you. The 25-cent one goes away. It just because it's dependent upon your point of view. It's either adding 15 cents to the 25. Yeah, that was right. Sorry, I did math in my head. Or it's getting rid of the old and adding the 40. The way I need to view it, though, and I think the way the board wants to view it, since we have no intentions of taking the 40 right out the gate, I can't promise down the road 8 years if things have hit the fan. I mean, but yes, sir, it would be 25 gone, new 40.
And that would be a whole new referendum?
Yes, sir. Okay. Yes. We have to rerun the whole thing just like we've done together in the past.
Tell me the mechanics, you mentioned it earlier, asking for 40 cents and perhaps getting 40 cents but not using the money. Did I misunderstand?
Yes, so if you remember when we did the first one together years ago, we did all the math to basically say, and I think originally ours was 18. I think the very first, what was it, 18? Thank you, ma'am. We did the first one at 18 cents, knowing full well we're taking every dime of that 18. Well, we also knew, and this is what's important out of that, sir, we also knew then, let me go back to the house, that every year the deduction on houses was going to be this. Every year you were getting $48,000 and you were getting this % off your house. So we could do the math on 18 and then 25 cents. It was easy math. It's now every home is going to have the variation of going up a different amount and also getting a different % of tax off. So we have to protect ourselves, go high, but then each year the idea would take about, we will do all our math, and you know, you've worked with Mr. Reuter, we do our math, and then see what a 3% increase would be, and does that cover all our races? Does that cover everything we need to do? And then the board would set a resolution to say, we're taking 3% this year. Up to, we could never go over 40 cents, ever. Did I answer that correctly?
We could be assessed 40 cents. But how does the school system not take a full 40?
Yes. Mike, you want to answer? Because he's going to answer that way cooler than I'm going to. I'm just going to say cuz. Yes.
Few districts over the years that have used this approach, Speedway is an example. They've asked their community to pass a 50+ cent referendum. But each year when the school board meets to adopt the next year's budget, they decide how much of that 50 cents they're going to put on the tax rate. So in this case, we're talking about 40 cents. But in 2027, that is not going to be a 40-cent rate. It will be something higher than 25 cents, but not even close to 40 cents. So each year you would evaluate how much of that 40 cents you're going to need based on the loss that we're going to experience from Senate Bill 1.
And then your home pays the evaluation on whatever we decide ahead of time. Like, that's your question too, right, sir?
Yeah, so in other words, we'll only be assessed
what that number is.
what the board asks for.
Yes, sir. Not the 40 cents. Yes, sir. So if we go up 3 cents, we're at, say, 25, we go up to 28 cents, you'd be assessed on the 28 cents.
The language in the referendum, we're passing a max rate.
Well, that's a totally different story. How many of you remember the last referendum when I told you all just don't bother reading the question, just vote yes? We know that question. It's gotten worse, sir. So now we have to say that we're imposing this on you and a whole lot of other words that if you read it, I'm the meanest dude in the world. I like to think I'm all right. But so the question, I don't even want to address that right now, sir. It is, I mean.
It will be confusing because the DLGF, Department of Local Government Finance, will have to certify the question and they will have to use the 40 cents in calculating the property tax example of 26. So it's going to look like a large increase to the taxpayer. That's where we're going to have to obviously produce some material to show like, yeah, this is what the question says, but we're not collecting that and we will build that trust. The good news is the school board will actually be adopting the budget for 27 prior to the referendum question being on the ballot. So they will be able to demonstrate immediately, like, the question says 40 cents, but we're only collecting
Yes.
29 cents of that 40 cents in 2027. And we'll be able to show them exactly at 27 what they're going to pay compared to what the question's going to say. But it is going to be a confusing question again, because it's going to look, the impact's going to look much greater than what it is. Because the DLGF is not going to take that rate of 40 cents and say, well, in 2031, you're going to be paying this.
Yes.
They got to take what's been approved, and that's the 40 cents. So it's going to be a bit confusing to the taxpayer if you just read the question like, well, that's a lot more than he said.
So, Mark, you know I've always used the thing in the past. You've heard me say it a billion times. I was kidding, but serious. Now, don't read the question. No, we're taking 25 cents. The reality of it is where everybody in this room that supports this and all the people that as we move forward, the next mantra is it's two answers I'd give you too, sir. One, it's going to be that one I was kidding but serious on. We're going to increase your tax rate and you're going to pay less. And that's kind of a trust me. And if they don't, call me and we can run your numbers here too. But the difference is, and this is a little bit more in-depth, but it's language that some of you will get. Tax rate now realistically means nothing. You know, I've spent my whole career in central office working with boards and everything else saying, all right, we're going to reduce our rate this amount this year. And this year, we're going to reduce it. Oh, this year it went up. And watching that rate, I mean, I've spent my whole central office career, 20 years, watching tax rates. Frankly, tax rate doesn't mean anything anymore. Well, what I care about is the term levy or total amount coming to us. So all I care about now is running a rate that equates to me getting what I would have gotten if we were still underneath this thing. So even for somebody like me to change from talking tax rate now going to levy is hard. If you've noticed, I barely said levy tonight because I'm not even used to doing it myself. But that's what we're actually shooting for. We are just going to run a number through the board resolutions to basically get back the same amount of money we would have lost if we would have never changed a thing if we got there, sir. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, when you're on board, I don't imagine how many times you ever mentioned the term levy. You know what I mean? It was, yes, sir.
What public outreach program are you going to do? Does that cost money?
Yes.
And because it is so complicated.
Yes, sir.
And to be able to explain this to one person, what's your plan?
Thank you, Mr. Abraham. Here's what, so this is what we did last time, and we've talked a little bit, to be fair. The one thing about we will do, and I think you heard me say the number last time, we've done the signs here, and we've really what I will be asking is if you have, Nancy, you set up a meeting for us last year. We went to 80 different meetings last year in just the town of Sheridan. And what we'll ask is everybody, because to me, this is impossible. I mean, I appreciate you guys being here, but you guys, I know most, and this is great. And it's impossible to do a video on this. I mean, I hope some people watch this, but they do. The best thing and why I love Sheridan, I'll spend 80 different nights going to 80 different meetings. Ron hosts one for us. Everybody that's hosted meetings, sir. So yes, sir, our tactic will be that because I want people to hear from me directly. Because if you don't, and you know this full well, sir, if we don't go to their houses, their homes, their churches, their everything else, then the story changes. And at least I can sit there and honestly ask questions the best we can. So yes, sir, that's what we'll do again. And these guys love spending like every night of every month with me, I think. That was sarcasm from the board. Yes. So yes, sir, that's what, because we actually talked about it today and it has not been decided. Like last time we didn't do a pack, to be honest with you. And the reason being is rather than trying to collect money to do something, I'd rather spend someone's time, if you will, like bringing cookies to the meeting and letting me sit there and talk to them face to face. So we will plead and beg for every one of you to invite us to something so we'll come and talk. Judy, you've had me at several different things. That's how we'll do it, sir. We haven't decided on the pack part or anything yet, but we didn't want to do one last time, sir. Thank you. It's a great question. I'll come to all of your homes. This is how I put on 70 pounds in the last referendum. Thank you for that. Anything else? So here's what I would offer. What time you got, Andy? Yes, I love being on time. here's what I would offer. Please stick around. The board's up here. If you don't want to speak in this setting, please give them your thoughts. Please. Our two financial gurus in the back, please stop and ask them. You know you're welcome to ask me whatever you want to. I can't thank you all enough. We have, politicians, people that mean a lot to us, people that have been teachers. We have a lot of people in this room and parents that, frankly, that's what makes us great. And I don't just say that. You guys know I live that mantra. The fact that that's what makes us great here is because we do have the greatest community around. So thank you all for being here. Thank you guys for taking time out of your busy day. But please stop around and ask questions. And what I'm going to need you to do here is if the board decides to vote for this in May, start explaining to the world, yes, more taxes mean less money. That's all you, there's a sign. That's our sign. That's our yard sign. More taxes equals less money. I see how that one goes over. Thank you all for coming tonight. I really, really appreciate it. And please, we'll stick around. Appreciate you. You're all awesome.